this time. It is 12:07 and calling this meeting to order. Next will be roll call.
Alex Cantu, present.
John Anise here.
Armin Garza present.
Francis Salinas present.
And Oscar Salinas here. Dr. B, I do declare a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Welcome, members of the audience. If everyone could please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, up next be the superintendent's report. Doc?
Thank you. For the superintendent's report, we have 14,033 elementary students as of Tuesday, February the 13th, and 14,381 secondary students for a total of 28,414. Any questions on the enrollment report?
Questions, guys? Okay, next up be the discussion items. Number one, discussion item of the 2017-2018 La Jolla Independent School District truancy prevention measures.
This has been a topic that many of you have asked me, what are the things that we're doing? Who are the personnel that are involved? In my evaluation, you wanted to know members of this team. And so I've asked Mr. Ricardo Villarreal, Assistant Superintendent for Student Services, to give us an overview, a brief overview of this department and what the department does. Mr. Villarreal?
Thank you, Dr. Benavides, Mr. President Salinas, and distinguished board members and people in the public. First of all, I'm going to address it with our community. We did a PEAM snapshot in the fall at the end of the year, last year, and as you can see there, we had a total in the county of Hidalgo, we have 113,055 at-risk students. All right. So here in La Jolla, of those 113,000, we had an enrollment of 29,500. Of those 29,500, 27,662 were economically disadvantaged, which is a high 90% rate. 23,700 of those, 69, excuse me, are at risk, and some of the at-risk factors are underneath, are labeled underneath. Any questions there? Okay. Next slide. What are we doing? What did La Jolla do as of 2015, when the state pretty much mandated truancy prevention measures by law? So we met in 2016 with campus principals and, of course, curriculum and instruction to revamp our truancy prevention measures. In 2017, we also added the Option Flex School Day Program, which is known as SADA. Okay. District attendance protocols, some of the basic things that we do, we want to keep it simple for the campuses. We don't want to be doing too many things. Do things that simple and that work. And these are the things that have been working. One, we established a campus attendance committee at every campus. Two, make sure that the campus attendance committee follows local and state policies in accordance to truancy. Then we identified the students. We had the campuses identify who the students that were at risk are, and then immediately set up conferences with the parents to get to the root of the problem and address the problem. And there's a lot of issues with the last time I presented, I kind of explained to you a little bit about the issues. Number 5, we imposed truancy prevention measures. These are some of the things that we do: behavior improvement plan, a principal's plan, school-based services, and then, of course, community. We can't take care of it in the school district. We also have MOUs, which are memorandum of understandings with outside agencies, such as Texas Tropical, Advancing Together, Reset, that come in and help kids and even the parents with needs. So we also involve the community. And of course, as per FED legal policy, we keep ongoing logs of these communications with the parents and students to ensure improvement of student attendance. At the elementary, so this is basically, going back, this is basically what everybody's doing in the district. Elementary, middle school, and high school, those 6 steps right there. At the elementary, they're much smaller, so campus staff, what they do is they identify the students with excessive absences. And by the way, what is excessive absence? Within a 4-week period, a student having 3 or more absences, all right? So we start addressing them after that third absence, see what's going on. And then, of course, we address it to get to the root of the problem. And we conduct parent-student conferences. Sometimes the parents don't come to school, so we go to their home and discuss the absences and attendance and the requirement, and local and state policy. And then, of course, we also mentor some of these students, track the students and their behavior and attendance as well via on a plan where they go and they sign in at every class, and if they're doing well, teacher signs off. If they need help, we keep monitoring and working on a behavior plan or an attendance plan. A lot of times attendance and behavior work hand in hand. The next thing we do is truancy prevention measures. Their behavior improvement plan through PBIS, which is a system that we use throughout the whole school district. And PBIS stands for Positive Behavior Intervention Systems, and I'm sure some of you, most of you, are familiar with it. RTI, which is a part of PBIS, RTI stands for Response to Intervention. What are we doing? Are we exhausting our resources at the school before we refer a kid to the judge? We want to keep kids in school because that's where learning is occurring, not sitting in a judge's office. We also do principals plans and contracts for students to sign and adhere to. The campus attendance committee refers these kids to counseling, social workers, mentoring, and even our SATA program. So when you see the word SATA, SATA stands for student attendance and tracking accountability. All right, so we're tracking them, what we're doing on a daily basis. And then, of course, if we can't take care of it, again, we refer them out. And we keep daily logs of these meetings. What happens at the high schools? They're called truancy, the definition is a truancy prevention facilitator, and we have one per high school because, of course, we have close to 2,000, if not over 2,000 kids, so there's a bigger need at the high school. And at Palmview High School, we have Miriam Navejar, which I believe taken part of her lunch to be here, Rigo Viagran from Juarez Lincoln, and Victoria Oyervides, all right, helping at the campus level. And their duties and responsibilities are a little more. They enforce the tardy and chronic absenteeism policies and protocols. They run data reports every day of students. They run, and who's absent. They make the calls before second period. And why is a student absent? And sometimes they're sick, sometimes there's a lot of reasons. But we get to the root and we can bring those kids into school and count them present. They're in the classroom learning. That's basically what they're doing. They're enforcing the policy and the protocol. Bullet number 3, they also help mentor students or find mentors, such as teachers and counselors and administrators to help these kids. They also make phone calls to parents of students who are at risk and conduct, if the parents can't come for whatever reason, they make the home visit as needed. They're also responsible for sending warning letters to the parents and setting up a conference either at school or at home as per Texas Education Code 280.23, which is basically the 90% rule. They got to be here 90% of the time. All right. The next bullet, campus parent meetings are also administered, and that's required, and assist student recovery department. The student recovery department is currently called the dropout department. So the kids are truant, they tend to become dropout. So they work together to find issues and problem solve. They also do the truancy prevention facilitator at the campuses, the high schools, go through their student recovery campaign in August and September, and I believe there was a couple of board members that walked the streets actually with us. So they're also very involved the first 2 months of school. Aside from the comprehensive high schools, they also go to the East, West, and North academies to visit these kids. A lot of these kids that we have at these academies are kids with attendance issues. And then, of course, ultimately, they also help prepare, document truancy prevention documentation, and it has worked or hasn't worked, take the kid ultimately or the parent to court. The officer, we have one officer at central office level for all elementary and middle schools, and this person basically collects and reviews, home visit reports, counseling referral reports, assist and mentor students that have issues or truancy or attendance issues. Also do go ongoing meetings with 5th and 8th graders. Why the 5th and 8th graders? Because the 5th graders are going where? To the middle schools. And we need to talk to them about attendance. And the 8th graders, why? Because they're going to 9th grade. We also conduct a lot of parent and campus meetings to discuss the attendance requirements. A lot of times the parents aren't aware, and it's our job to make them aware. Conduct also home visits on a daily basis as per needed. Collect and review documentation and prepare student files. Any questions there?
Mr. Varela, on the slide before that, the truancy prevention supervisor, who is the truancy prevention supervisor?
The supervisor for the district is Mr. Casanova.
Okay. And then on the next page, you're talking about the truancy prevention officer for elementary and middle schools. Who is
That's
the?
Mr. Iram Science.
Okay. Because I know the trustees had,
Questions?
what roles, yeah. So Iram Science is the elementary and middle schools truancy prevention officer.
Correct, correct. On the last bullet, they also work with, okay, any questions?
I would like to have a copy of the counselor's logs, Mr. Villarreal. Do they still do that?
Yes.
Where they see the child and then they code it with the behavior that they're seeing and then that's inputted somewhere? I would like for the board to get a
PBIS,
copy
or-
of that for the, I guess, the beginning of the school year till now, just so that we can see what is it that,
Do you
is it
want
a
one?
lot? Is it a lot, but can you break it down, like, and maybe like,
It's either behavior or academics, right? The issues. And we go through the RTI, the PBIS.
yeah, but we can break it down in sections, no?
Oh, of course, we can do
We
it
can
by.
give you a sample.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll have that for you. Good one. And then, of course, at the end of the last bullet, they work with, of course, Student Recovery Program, which I already told you is a dropout, and PEP as well. The supervisor, on a daily basis, tracks and assists campuses with students who are non-compliant with the Texas Education Code, conducts a lot of parent meetings and attendance required as needed. And not only at the high school, he's also at middle schools and elementaries as well, and the academies. Administers trainings with campus attendance clerks on state updated policies and procedures, and collects and monitors and reviews campus home visit reports and counseling referral reports and contact logs as per TEA requirements. That has to be done. Any questions? Okay, this gentleman also generates daily and weekly La Jolla SD ADA reports. What are ADA reports? They're attendance reports on a daily basis, and he distributes them to the campuses so that the campuses can see who's absent and who's not. And we also have a good competition between the campuses to who has the highest attendance rate, and so there's incentives for that too. So it's a good friendly competition. And he also meets with parents and students to provide proactive alternatives, which may include school-based services, which is like Mr. Salinas said, President Salinas, counseling, social workers, mentoring, the student attendance tracking program, community-based services such as Advancing Together, behavioral health solutions, and others is that. And then, of course, even within La Jolla, he also is a part of sending kids to the academies, which is La Jolla North, East, and West, and or CCC. And then, of course, if we can't handle, if a student is too severe that we can't take care of, and we do very few of these, we do out-of-district alternative education placements, such as the military academy, workforce, to finish off their GED and or homeschool. At a glance, and to finish, attendance and truancy supervisor continued. Also coordinates with the campus attendance committees, coordinates with campus attendance on the issues as they arise, and prepares documentation to refer them to the judge if needed. Also patrols the perimeter, conducts home visits to locate students that cannot be reached, found, or completely are not nowhere to be found. And believe me, we have several of those. Also transports new to district students and parents. Sometimes we get transfers and they, for whatever circumstances, they don't have a vehicle. He helps bring them so that we can enroll them, and then the bus picks them up and drops them off, students. monitors and documents students who are being serviced by the Hidalgo County Juvenile Probation Department as well, and delivers notices to campus principals of students who have been arrested. That's a part of his job duty as well. If you look at attendance at a glance, 2015-16, when the state mandated, we do everything we can at the campus. It was at 94.30%. Last year, we began SATA at the end of the toward the end of the last semester of the school year, and it went up 94.50. And this year, as of now, we're at 94.73. Our goal is to hit 95%. All right, so it's been increasing, which is what we need, what we want. Finally, we also have 3 officers that help. We have an MOU with the county, and he's a constable who also surrounds the perimeters. He also attends the court cases when truancy measures are filed. And then we have also a male and female officer with the school district who are mainly at Juarez Lincoln and La Jolla High School because of the need, mainly at Juarez Lincoln. And so that is what we are doing. And that is, in a nutshell, what we do. We try to keep kids in school. Questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a comment. I know we were part of back then when we started the program and everything, and I'd just like to thank. I know you guys are out there, Mr. Casanova, and your staff. I'd like to thank you for the job you've done. I know that we've started. Pretty much, I think we were just one guy back then, going out there and stuff. And I know you built up your staff and everything. And I know that we have more people now in the classrooms. It's very. Nobody's going out there and telling you what a great job you're doing because it's a pretty thankless job. But as far as the board here, we know the sacrifices you guys have to make to go out there, because it starts with the parents at the house. Really, is where it's at, and we here understand that, and we know the tribulations that you have to go through for that. So, if you ever need anything from the school board or from administration or anything, don't hesitate to ask, because we are here to support you. And just personally, I'd like to thank you guys for the job you're doing in getting the kids back to school.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Alanis said it well, but I would like the members of the Truancy Department who are here to please stand, because I know that it's a thankless job.
I know Chief is also here, and we also work a lot with his department. So thank you, Chief, too, as well.
Anybody else, guys?
I have a question. I think I brought it up before, Dr. B, and to Mr. Villarreal. On one of the pages, they're not numbered, but I know that one of the responsibilities is to meet with the parents and the students. I think that we discussed it before, and my concern is whether they're meeting with a young lady or a young man. Who else is in that meeting? Do we have a second employee or a?
Social workers, the counselor, the social workers. A lot of times it's one person. And we ask the kid, a lot of times the males feel more comfortable with the male.
We discussed that.
And the
before, yeah,
female
that's
has, yeah, and so that's usually how the approach we take, because usually when the kid feels comfortable, they usually tend to open up more. And
We discussed
That's
that
how we-
before, that it's
Yes.
important that
Yeah.
we have that comfortable situation with a one-on-one with a student, whether it's a female or a male, if they would be more comfortable with sitting and talking with a female or
Exactly.
discussing it with a male.
Exactly.
So that's my question. I wanted to know who was sitting in on those meetings.
yes,
And that's
even
it.
administrative, it depends on the severity too. If it's a serious situation, well, of course, we're gonna have to have an administrator in there to help resolve the issue. Dr. Benavides?
No, I was just going to say that's the reason why we really reinforce the fact that we need to build good relationships with the kids so the kids can feel comfortable. That's critical.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Villarreal,
you.
and thank you to the departments that are here. And just to correct, I think it's at 5:30, no? The walk, the jump and the walk, 5:30. And thank you to the athletic department and again, the wellness committee for that. Okay, moving on to the next item, that be under discussion items number 2. Discussion of students from IDEA and charter schools who want to participate in the extracurricular activities of La Jolla Independent School District. Can you elaborate a little?
Both Mr. Coach Guajardo, athletic director, and myself have gotten questions if we will allow students who reside in our district but attend other schools to participate in extracurricular activities. And we've discussed it at length. We have our reasons why we're recommending that they not be allowed to participate, and I'm going to let Coach Guajardo elaborate a little bit, and then whatever he doesn't say, I'll say at that time. Coach Guajardo?
Good afternoon. I have been approached by parents who reside in the community and have children enrolled in our school district. They're requesting permission to have their child play in our athletic programs. The students live within our attendance zone, but they choose to go to charter schools. With that, I called UIL and I requested some information. They do allow charter schools to participate within the district as long as they're part of their attendance zone. Idea schools are not allowed since they are distinguished as a 3A. They gave the 3A classification. I have also called other school districts in the region, and most of them say no to this practice. The reason being that they don't want to carry the liability that comes with that. So that is why. I have discussed this with the superintendent, and we wanted to bring it up for discussion. My professional opinion is that if they want to play sports with us, they can always come back to our district, and they can play with us. We have a great school district.
And one of the things that Coach Guajardo and I discussed was that in the liability issue, they are not our students, and if they play in one of our teams or participate in one of our extracurricular activities, they would have to ride the bus, and they would not be covered by our insurance because, you know, they're not members of our school district. And so that's one of the reasons. And then another reason that's really important, even though we like for all of our kids in the community to participate in extracurricular activities, and we clearly understand the importance of kids being involved with extracurricular activities, it will take a spot from one of our kids. And last night, watching the Huskies play, basketball is only five members that get to play at one time. That would mean that if we allow them, one of the students that is not in our schools is going to be taking the slot from our kids.
I feel if they're entrusting us with their education, the parents and the students are entrusting La Jolla SD with their education, they shouldn't take a backseat to anyone. And if people want to be able to participate in our athletic programs, they, like Coach Guajardo just said, they should take part of everything we have to offer here in La Jolla ISD.
I totally agree with you, Coach, and Dr. B. And I think at the end, you know, we want the best for all kids. But, you know, right now, the liability, the traveling, the space taken from our kids, like you said it well. You know, they want to play sports for us. They need to come back to our schools. So, anybody else?
This item is just a discussion item. Later on the
coming up.
agenda, you have it for approval.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Coach Guajardo.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to the next one, be public comments. Doc, do we have any? Okay, next be consent agenda. I'll need a motion. A motion by Mr. Alanis.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Under letter D, instruction and student services, be the number 9, 2018 summer school programs.
So move.
Second that.
I have a motion by Mr. Garza. Now I have a second by Mr. Alanis. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Number 10, fifth annual girls engagement in mathematics, the JAM project.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Alanis.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. And number 11, under letter D, instruction and student services, approval to allow or not allow students from IDEA and charter schools who want to participate in extracurricular activities of La Jolla Independent School District.
So move, not to allow.
I have a motion by Mr. Alanis as not to allow, and a second by Ms. Salinas. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Under human resources, that one already went. And then, of course, number 2, converting an existing FT.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Garza, and I'll take the second from Mr. Cantu. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes. At this time, it is 12:31, and under sections codes 551071, 551072, and 551074, we will be going into executive session at 12:31. It's 1:46, and we are back from executive session. Next up, be letter H, personnel.
President, I'd like to make a motion on items 1, 2, 3, and 4 as discussed in executive session.
Have a motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Garza, and a motion by Mr. Alanis. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion on item number 5, under property donation by La Jolla SD to City of Penitas in the amount of 2.5 acres, being used for the City of Penitas for a park for the children.
We have a motion by Mr. Alanis.
Second.
A second by Mr. Garza. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Meeting is adjourned at 1:47. Thank you so
And
much.
for the record, Mr. Cantu left after executive session.
Okay.